Well, I don't know. I haven't been here. I have a feeling it's going to be, you know, really challenging and probably a little overwhelming right at first with all the other cars out there up to speed so quickly. But we tested Little Rock a few weeks ago, and I think that probably will serve well and gave me at least a feel for what it's like on these really tiny tracks with low pressures and how the car changes as they come up. So I'm not really sure what to expect yet, but I'm going to go over to see Tony after this and going to see what he says and take some recommendations on what to do.
Thank you very much. We'll take some questions now for Danica. If you have one, raise your hand. We'll get you a wireless mic. Raise your hand high. We've got 2 wireless mics out in the audience. Who has a question for Danica? We'll go here with Mike.
Mike Hembry, Speed.com. Did you guys consider testing here at all? And have you been on a track similar to this before?
We were going to test here around the Little Rock time, but I think they changed the tire right before we came, and I think everybody sort of aborted that mission. So at least that's my understanding. So we were going to test here, but that didn't work out. Well, actually, hang on. Was that the case, or was it some other track? What was that? Or was it the fact that, were we supposed to test here? Or was the tire change? Yeah, exactly.
Other questions? Right here, Lee has one. And then
there's so many tests in Cup that I get lost and I forget what was what.
Raise your hand there, Lee. Kyle's got you, and I believe we got one in the back. Gene, you have a question? Go ahead.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Can you talk a little bit about your day in Washington, D.C. and what that was like? And also, reflecting on the Joey Logano thing, coming into any series, is there kind of a code that you have as far as holding your own line, holding your own ground, driver ethics, what is, acceptable, what is not acceptable, that kind of goes across the lines of all the different tours?
Well, first off, the White House was really cool. It was it was a cool experience. It was neat to see all the kids kind of playing around, like right in the White House's front yard, basically. I mean, you were right there. You could see the president's office. You could see the back of his head working. You could see. I got a tour of the White House and some other places from the gentleman from the White House that was kind of taking me around and getting to where I needed to get to. It was just really cool. The kids were excited. They were super excited. It definitely worked out to wear my GoDaddy jacket because everybody recognized me very quickly. So it was really fun. I'm really glad I did it. It was a nice day, and I think it's a cool experience to meet the president. His wife and kids and their dog were all there. So it's an event that they said was the most like chaotic and loose event they do at the White House all year long, any year. So it had that feel. It had that feel of just kids come play, and we were so close to the White House too. And then the sort of etiquette and sort of unspoken rules. I mean, as drivers, there's a time and a place for everything. I think later in the race things do happen, but I think when things it depends on a little bit of history. I mean, if things have gone on in the past, then sometimes that can carry over, and there's an understanding for why someone gets a little bit extra aggressive. But I don't think it's ever cool to. I don't think it's ever anyone ever gets happy when you try and take them out almost, or make big dramatic moves. I think that towards the end, if you make one move, I feel like that definitely happens. But if somebody goes over the top with it, then it makes you frustrated, makes you mad. So I don't feel like I've been in enough of those scenarios to be your official sort of driver on what's appropriate and what's not appropriate out there, but just in my experience, that's kind of a little bit of why things happen small or big.
Over here to the right, and then we'll go to Nate. Go here, man, and back in the back. Somebody had a question back in the back, I think. Go ahead.
Kenny Beck, WXI I-12, NBC station in Greensboro, North Carolina. Danica, Tony Stewart was quoted in USA Today as saying he was looking forward to your first time here. He said it might almost be sort of funny to watch because of how tricky and quirky this track is. Do you have any thoughts on that, and also any thoughts on being the first female driver to ever race at the top series in NASCAR here in Martinsville?
It's not really a big stat for me to be the first female to race here at this level, but I don't know what to expect. I mean, I might go out there and be just fine. I might go out there and be a total disaster. I might feel like those times when I drove a nationwide car for the first time at tracks that I hadn't been to, and all I do is look in my mirror the whole time for what's going on. But it makes me happy that we went to Little Rock just because of the size, and kind of get an appreciation for how quick the corners come up, and you get an appreciation for a little bit for the line and how the tires come up to pressure and how the car changes through that. So, I'm not going out too far behind him, and he's pretty good. So, I'll be looking, trying to see where the line is and see where to go. But it's bottom. So at least there's that much going for me before I get out there.
We'll go Nate, Alan, and then I think Claire had one. Let's get a mic right here, please.
Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. How you doing?
Going.
I know, sorry.
I like it.
I was afraid this was going to be a topic. Kind of following up on the last question. So everybody sort of has a funny story about their first time here. Like Dale Jr. hit the pace car, apparently no lie, and then an ambulance.
Is that where the Days of Thunder? Hit the pace car.
Yeah, kind of like something like that.
Hit the pace car. You hit every other. Never mind.
So and Tony, of course, saying, as a driver, he's expecting he may be somewhat amused. But I know you take this thing really seriously. So when you go and talk to him now for tips, and he's telling you, here's the line and everything like that, if he also kind of cautions you, it might be the worst day of your life. Try to have fun with it. how do you deal?
Vegas was the worst day of my life. I can't have another worst day of my life.
Can you look at it that way? I know you take it really seriously, but can you maybe not dread it and try to look at it in a positive sort of light? Or?
I always feel like the more newest situation is, kind of the less expectations there are, and in general, the less pressure and the less nerves go on. I've always felt like the more expectation level that exists, and the longer you've been around, therefore the more expectation level that exists, that's when I get more nervous, because it's time. But I definitely, being here for the first time and understanding how challenging it is, I feel like it's only up from here, and it's probably, I'm sure, I have no doubt that it'll be a hard day, but I'm also of the belief that it could also be a really fun day. I mean, a good car is a good car, and if it's good and it's hooked up and it's turning, and the practice day we did a few weeks ago translates to this track, and the car performs as well as it did at the end of practice that day, then there's no reason why we can't have a decent day. But there's also no way to know how. Is it going to be different because I haven't been here before? I'm being a rookie and getting kind of showed the ropes. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to go. You just have to stand your ground, and nothing works better than driving away from people. So, we're going to be working towards a car that will do what I want it to do and be comfortable, and we'll just see how it shakes out.
We'll go Alan, Claire, and then we'll probably final question right here. Go ahead, Alan.
Danica, Alan Cavana, NASCAR.com. Now that we've been to 5 tracks and a variety of them, how do you assess your progress in your rookie year so far?
I think for a lot of the year I've learned how to drive a loose car, so I've got that going for me. But it's been not as good as what I had hoped for. But then again, I also said I'm not going to set expectation levels at this point in time, and let's see how it goes. So I think based on that, I think for me, I would say that we just need to get a grasp as to what I need out of this, this new car. Tony and I need to come up with sort of a baseline balance setup that works, and you know, I'm not sure we've achieved that yet. So I don't think we have, and I think that we're just taking a little bit of time to adjust to this new car and adjusting to what it takes for me to feel good in it. So, you know, I don't know how long that'll go on for, but, you know, I was happy at least at Fontana. I mean, I really thought I was going to get lapped like 5 or more times at least. Like, that's how bad I felt in practice. And so you know, we did end up lap down, and but at least we were kind of respectable, I felt like, and most importantly, we made the car better throughout the whole race, and that was something that hasn't happened really all season. We haven't been able to really get the car to a decent spot and feel a lot better about it by the end of the race. So, you know, that's a positive I take from Fontana. And when we make those positive changes and the car feels better, it just kind of adds to the database of what works for me and what doesn't work for me, and what more about what I need in the car, so that we can start the weekend off stronger and end even stronger, which is what we need to do.
Final question over here to the left, Claire.
Playing Sirius XM NASCAR radio. With so many people telling you so many things, how do you weigh out your own sensations and feelings? Because everybody, and Tony's given you great advice. Second of all, what about the grueling physical side of it? A lot of the drivers are saying that their knees, or they get cramps in their leg from braking. Do you watch tapes? Other than Tony telling you, how do you prepare for this?
Well, that was part of our pre-Martinsville testing, I should say, was short track running to sort of figure out what brakes worked for me best, and, you know, if I could deal with a master that didn't have, that allowed me to use less pressure to get the same results. So those are the things that we worked through to see what was best to bring here to take care of that. But, you know, I think there's a lot to be said for staying relaxed in the car and not getting too tense, and I think that is a little bit of the challenge the first time here, is that you are a little bit more tense because it's new. But those are things that I just think about out there on the track, just to take a deep breath and just shake your legs around, move around, and you know, that kind of stuff helps you strength-wise to, you know, not get so fatigued, I think. So I'll be thinking about those things, and, you know, if the car is challenging, it's always a lot more work. I mean, some of the races earlier this year that I've had to catch the car all day, my arms are tired by the end of that. So I'm sure you've all seen video of me sawing at the wheel before. It happens frequently. But you know, this is going to be a little bit more of a leg workout, but we've worked towards making that more comfortable for me, and we'll see how it goes.